think we're up and running.
There we go.
Okay.
We're up and running.
Hooray!
Hey! Yay! Okay.
We'll blame it on the fucking Guptas.
The Hotbox just got captured. Thanks. Whatever that was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly that.
Thank you very much. Sorry for that. We'll what we'll do, we'll treat you to 20 minutes of running over time so we can tell you what we were talking about.
We'll talk extra shit.
We'll talk extra shit.
And anybody that can do a bit of lip reading and give us like some feedback from what we were saying gets something for free.
Yeah. What about that guy that did all the sign language for Barack Obama? He'd be so.
I rate most creative comment about what we were talking about there. Score some free shit on that, eh? So we'll be the judge next week.
Throwing something as well. Eh?
Big time. So while we didn't have any electricity there and microphone and stuff, we were talking about the cops and cannabis stopping and searching. Yeah. I think that's the bit that you missed. And I think we're just going to have to rerun that.
Yeah. No, that's okay, guys. If this is second or thirds, I apologise.
No, I don't think it won't be on audio. That audio has been off all the time.
Okay, cool.
So
what we're talking about is this week there was a story in the UK about the English and Welsh police being told that they can no longer search people on the basis of smelling cannabis. The cops are objecting to this, but this is a big thing because low profile arrests, low hanging fruit, we're easy targets, but also it's been like the most easiest way to infringe on people's human rights for me. It's to say, I smell weed, or you look like you smoke weed, I'm going to search all your fucking shit until I find something. But what's your guys' experience with this? Do you think they should be allowed to? Do you think we need to be stopping people who smell like they've been smoking and driving?
They actually think, they still have this mentality that if you've got weed on you, you're going to commit a crime. If you have weed, you're a skeleton and you're up to no good. So therefore, what are you doing here? Oh, you've got weed. Oh, well, that makes it completely different. It's not a packet of 20 anything, it's just weed. So they've got to get out of that mentality. I reckon there's loads and loads of cops are out of that mentality. They smell the weed and they just don't want to write it up anymore.
But one of the things I brought up was what happens if it might be in a zone where it's medicinal, okay, where it's allowed medicinal or whatever.
Yeah. Well, not so much in the UK.
Okay.
This is still a UK thing.
Oh, still a UK thing. But what happens if you were with somebody that did smoke weed? And let's talk reality. A kid goes along with, he's a teenager, goes along with his older brother to go and visit some guys and gets stuck in this room with these guys because they're all paranoid, smoking weed. They walk out. He is the cleanest cut kid ever, who just happens to be smelling like weed. The cops are going to nail the oak,
but that's
man.
like they say, a strong smell of weed. You can't have a strong smell of weed on your clothes, can you? It's like you've smoked is one smell, but having it on your clothes is like a faint whiff of the stuff. I don't know. Maybe your clothes are different.
No, I think when a Rasta walks into the room, no offense to the Rastafarians at all, but it has a strong presence too. It is a very strong presence of cannabis. It's, I mean, even my father's clothes, because he was a smoker, that smell is very distinct.
What, of tobacco?
No, cannabis.
Of cannabis, yeah.
Well, especially the sweet, like DP, especially that for some reason, that sweet Swazi, sweet DP was there, and I always can remember that. That's something that I very much remember.
Maybe it's like one of those...
And you get profiled straight away, immediately.
It's got to be something to do with harm reduction. Yeah. It's from the top, and it says, let's not bother with some of those low-hanging fruit because we're getting a lot of flack on social media for it, same as we do here, exposing them all, pictures and selfies and Christ knows what. And some cops, some police chiefs are saying, they're throwing in the flag and saying, we're not going to do this. And others are saying, well, how do you get to the criminals if you don't stop and search? And weed's one of them. They need to know if they're carrying illicit drugs, because if they are, it's a crime. It goes around in this big circle. Yeah. But at least the conversation's being had. But not here. I don't think it's been happening here at all.
No. It's probably only on Facebook, like so many things in our lives, and the conversation seems to happen the most and most often. But you're talking there about sort of profiling and that. There was something in a local community police forum this week. From what I can't recall the area. But what they were doing, and we see this often, and I actually think the old Minister of Police, Vakile Mbolula, made the same mistake, where what happens is the cops come along, they bust some oak, or they see some oak, and they're like, ooh, I like this oak in his fucking Bob Marley shirt. and
Jeremy,
they take a picture of him because he's black and he's in a Bob Marley shirt, and they like put it all over their Facebook. Look, we're fighting crime. Meanwhile, they're okay, fuck all on him. But now he's out there online as a bad guy, just because these guys are getting a hard on for this. I don't.
The backstory. I put the post up on Dagga Couple, and the reason I did was it was a screen grab from a journalist that's done some work with us over the years. He's interviewed us a couple of times for good papers, and it was him that took the screen grab with this guy and said, chase up on this, because this is just not acceptable. This is a gross violation of people who haven't got any power assuming that they have, because this grey area of when you do stop and search people, have you got enough proof, what is the circumstance? But it unleashed a tirade of comments from Facebook users around the country. Yeah, fuck these people. The CPF, they're out of control, and they just police wannabes, and they're all testosterone, and it's all this, and they really throw you around, and then they just take your dope, and so I put this post up, and we got the backlash that we thought, but we didn't get anybody sticking up for CPF in any way. Not even that CPF, and they were tagged in it. But it's a closed group, and the journalist was kicked out of it immediately for saying anything. So the end result of that is this morning I got another email from the journalist, and he says he's chased up the guy in his local. He's still wearing the same clothes. He had his like Mona Lisa t-shirt on. You can see it a fucking mile off. And he's got this rickety old bike, and all he's doing is using this path to get from A to B. And if he's got some weed on him, he certainly isn't a criminal about it. He's just got some weed on him.
Yeah.
So and he doesn't even know that he's been named and shamed. It's so far remote from his everyday life. Yeah. But that's one of the points of it. It's like they can, because they think there's no repercussions. But I've since read up about some CPF rules of engagement and reasonable doubt and reasonable suspicion and all these grey areas that they kind of latch onto the Police Act of how to arrest folk. But the bottom line is they are there to do nothing until the cops arrive.
Yeah.
Just to apprehend.
Yeah, no, it's fucking frisking some guy, taking a picture and putting it up there going... That's basically what it is. It's a fucking quota picture.
It's also, in my mind, it's morality porn, where you post these sort of things to make yourself feel morally reinforced. Yeah. So, but also if I can, and let's face it, I think it's also a very racist thing, because I never see them doing this with white people. Whenever I see these pictures online, it's always some gogo or it's some oak, but they are always black. They never do it with the white people. Ever. And if I may, Dan, I'm going to go there. You've been in that situation where you've been bust in public, and they put your fucking picture online. I bet they didn't even think twice about it, dude.
No, I don't see any.
Not at all. No. It's a matter of just, it's very, very much.
I think there's only a few. I see a pattern of a few cop shops that do it. Germiston are bad at doing it in Gauteng. They always naming and shaming.
The occasional lab bust job, but like on Facebook and stuff, it seems very.
Well, you know, a lot of these CPFs are working underground. You know, it's all their little network. There's another closed group of CPF. The residents are in it. I'm sure they're great. You know, my WhatsApp group for the areas, a closed group, I guess. There's only us on it. So it's not as if, you know, that we don't have an open forum. We've got our WhatsApp closed groups. So you can't, it's like when you get to the realms of secret groups, there's a whole different kettle.
Yeah, but they're a funny bunch, because also I see they like to post pictures of when they use the Sunday school kids to come help them pull weed out. Which is too funny. Too funny.
Did you see all these kids pulling fucking these giant fucking plants out? 2 kids at once.
Did you check the pictures of Centurion Lake again this year? Again. I remember I checked it back. I got a picture from 2014, roughly the same area with the same stuff, different cops. But every year there's just loads of Zoll grows down there by the dam between the mall and the dam. Yeah. Blank. You can't even recognise it. It's so big. So they go in and try and pull it all out, and I swear to God, it's almost the same angle. It might be a stock photo.
You know what? It might. You know what it is? It's probably one oak. He probably works at the Pick and Pay or something as like a box packer. All right. And every day after, on his way to work, he has like goes for like lunch. He like cleans up, throws them out, and he just does it. Now over a season, that's quite a. That's quite a planting.
Well, you know what they do? Another thing that doesn't help is they go in late in the season, they pull them out, and the seeds go everywhere. Yes. They pull it, so they don't get that because they're not really gardeners, the cops. They think they are, but they're not.
And what it looks like to me is maybe it's waiting to be made into a meme, but every time I see these, you see all these people smiling with all these plants that are premature, and they look like they're the happiest fucking growers ever that have harvested way too early. It's like this weird thing. Oh, dude, the worst thing for your crop, eh? What was also for me quite funny.
The SAPS?
Yeah, dude, worse than mites, eh? No cops be gone, eh? There was a story about. I'm gonna rechristen it because it was just a boring name. I'm gonna call this the Church of Puzza-Facedness. Yes. There's a story going around about. And I think it was on
story goes on ENCA.
ENCA.
Yeah, this has gone to hell and God. Sorry, was that my debit? Hotbox.
I just did that one and you. I'm like, whoa.
Yes, dude. That was a bit intimate. But the story was kind of funny. So what the deal is it's a real cussy church. So it's church/tavern, and you basically go and the dominie sits there.
Yeah.
Father, and he gets shit-faced alongside you, and everyone gets shit-faced and praises the Lord. But in a way, I can see a parallel here, because if I were to say it this bluntly, but maybe, with the Rasta community, that's what they're saying, is that herb is their sacrament, and people are saying, alcohol is our sacrament. These other churches haven't wanted to fit us in because of what we are, and it's mostly oaks here, maybe a couple of chicks, but they're saying, we should be allowed to. Why not? Why not?
Well, they're not allowed to. It's not illegal to do what they're doing. It's just probably a bit the moral angle comes in. We all know about the blood of Christ, but when you got a bottle of Jack and the bishop's got like a fucking highball, you check. He's got like this highball and fucking whiskey and soda.
And when he really gets in
it is a bit of cognitive dissonance.
Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, can you imagine?
When the service gets going, shot.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was like.
They'll probably tell each other the same thing 10 times. They say the same sermon every week because nobody remembers it. I just saw it. I don't care what they do. They can pickle themselves into the middle of Psalm 11. I really don't care. But it's just really weird from my point of view. Gareth Prince in 2000 was nailed. They said, if it is a sacrament, we can't police it anyway. So fuck it if it is. We're not doing anything about it. But this is weird. The booze church, and booze is a red rag to a bull. From a large room of people drinking, I just can't cope with that anymore. No. In that environment, I latched onto it purely because I think it's just this disproportionate thing. Why the hell can't we have hash church?
There we go. Hash church. Amen.
Amen. Okay, moving on.
Next, you saw done with that.
I'm going to get a beer. I'm just going to get a beer.
Get a beer. But I'm going to reenact some of this for you because if it's
you want a beer?
Yeah. Bring it, brother. Bring it.
We're running over time on this one, so we're gonna.
But anyway, what was so funny is you would check folks would get on their knees in this place, and they would sit in a row, and they would open the quart, and then they would just pour the fucking quart like it's at a party. And you know what? These oaks are jiving, but it's like a cut club because it's only gospel gold. Are we going to say a little prayer here?
I don't know. We know a bishop.
Oh. But it was amazing. But then again, I don't know. It's sacraments and that. But also, I sometimes wonder if things are often thinly veiled things for access to other things. Like, if it were to be exclusive for the Rastas. Let's say they said a few years ago with Gareth saying yes, but only for the Rastas. Do you think we would have seen this mass migration of Rastas and Wastas?
Yeah.
Totally.
Don't say.
100%.
Bob Marley shirts.
Was a Rasta
streets full of rude boys, dreads, and
Haile Selassie,
Yeah, dude.
And that would have been terrible. I mean, that would have just made a joke of what actual Rastafarian.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there seeing that clip thinking it's a joke to the Christian church as well. I think that a lot of people would be quite offended by that kind of church.
You think
we got the church of the Messiahs, and you've got to eat the snake, and then you've got to eat the underwear, and you've got to do all these weird things. The prophet said,
drink the dude.
That's like another whole thing. This is a church. I don't know what the difference is. The prophet in his tent outside Phosphorus with 2,000 people, or this guy in this obviously quite a small space, on that clip. It wasn't like a big place. Was it a setup? Is it something that some sort of subliminal advertising on the back wall somewhere? We'll have to watch it again and just see what's happening.
No, maybe it'll just ambush marketing for Amstel Lager, because there's a lot of Amstel ports there. I like Amstel.
I did see a bottle of Jack.
Okay. Okay, hey.
I watched it a couple of times because I was quite incredulous.
So who owns both those brands?
Okay. So what was also interesting, international news a bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bite my tongue a bit here. But we always hear this argument locally, what about the children, what about the children? We all have our perceptions and we all say best interest of the children. But what about the children is usually used as that argument to say why we shouldn't equalize. They say there's already things out there and the children, and what we now see in Colorado, according to the Washington Post, is that teen use overall for drugs is down. Alcohol use, heroin use are significantly down.
Do you remember whose stats they are?
I'll dig that up. But what are your thoughts?
I think it is the government, though. I think it's the Department of Homeland or Department.
We got Google. We'll pull it up. So.
I'm sure it is actual government statistics. It's not like some rogue thing, because the first report I read about it had a link out and it basically said, of course, there are detractors who read it a different way. And you can find their information here. Yeah. They've turned it all in its head, and that's kind of what Doctors for Life uses. That one publication that came out in 2012. Yeah. But this one is all about the forbidden fruit. If you unban something, nobody can be bothered with it anymore. Yeah. It's not what it is. It's not what the substance is. It's the prohibition of the substance that gets people going on it. And that's exactly what happens. If you legalise weed, it'll all go away and normalise. I think
it becomes a bit boring.
The kid, in fact, they know alcohol does their heads in, and they think weed's boring. They'll get back to it later. They're finding out with other things. I think it's brilliant news.
Let me get to the bit. Let me do the boring narration here quickly for everyone. So the article's titled "Following Marijuana Legalization: Teen Drug Use is Down in Colorado," by Christopher Ingram. So, following legalization, the rate of adolescent marijuana use in Colorado has fallen to its lowest level in nearly a decade, according to a new federal survey.
So that's a decade.
Yeah, and this is Fed money. This is top-down view. So, state-level numbers from the National Survey on Drug Use and Health show that a little more than 9% of Colorado teens aged 12 to 17 use marijuana monthly in 2015 and 2016, a statistically significant drop from the prior period. That's the lowest rate of monthly marijuana use in the state since 2007 and 2008. This is where it gets interesting. And it's not just marijuana. Rates of teen alcohol, tobacco, and heroin use are down sharply in the state as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but I don't want to be causing causation, because guys like to say because something happens at a similar time, there's a relationship. But But maybe there is.
You know what's very interesting as well is that they actually included something that is very legal as well, and that's cigarette use, tobacco use.
Yeah.
And here's the whole thing. They're saying that a lot of time. Well, we obviously know that weed's not the gateway drug or whatever, but they're saying if as a predicate, it's generally the kids that start smoking cigarettes that are the ones that are going to go on to harder stuff.
It's the most common denominator, I think, tobacco.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, people start smoking weed with tobacco. And those statistics, if that is federal data and that's 10 years old, it's come out now while there's a big clamp down on everything in the States with Jeff Sessions and stuff. So federal data is still getting out sort of in a bipartisan way, because if it was bias in any way, if Jeff Sessions would have his way, here he is this week saying the US public are not informed about weed. They won't want it legalized when they know about this shit. Is basically, you see that? That's what he said, It's because they are thick as shit. They don't understand what I know about weed. It's not good stuff, and it's not good smoked by good folk.
That's the kind of argument that says that you can hit a woman for her own good. That's, in my mind, you're saying the same thing. You're saying we're not going to let people know because they're too stupid and they'll be too scared to make up their own mind.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the Deep South, The Deep South.
The Deep South.
Yeah, big time. What was the conversation about?
Teen use in Colorado drop.
Yeah, the teen use. Yeah. So what about the children?
To like Portugal.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of thing that you've seen.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to matter in the court that I ever go to. And shit. They don't seem to give a shit about empirical evidence because they can't stop moralising about it. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Don't tell me teen use is down.
Even though all the statistics are there.
And have you smoked it before? No, but that's not the point.
It's bad.
It sends people who have never smoked it into apoplexy. It's got this really weird thing about it, weed. It sends people who don't use it mental.
they think that you're going to go like nuts when you smoke this stuff.
God.
That's only after you smoke
And do you think they've ever really seen these experiences? Maybe to get spiritual again. You know, you get oaks who talk in tongues. Maybe these oaks who get high and they're like, it's demons and I'm losing my mind on that.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot, though. That's good. The nice thing about weed is you can blame it on the weed.
You can always blame it on the weed. And you think people do that? They do blame it on the weed sometimes, like their issues, eh?
Yeah, so we've got a viewer at the moment called Cornet. I think it's Corey. Curry Kruger. Curry. Did you check Curry there? I thought you better make the... Can you see him
I'm
there?
checking things out. Yeah. So Corey, we're going to do you a solid. I check you doing a shout out to your squeeze, yeah? So let's read it out. Can you please say something for my girlfriend? Got her knocked up. High five. I hope it was consensual. Ow! Her name is Chantal, and I love her very, very
Chantal,
much.
you're a lucky girl. Keep blazing, and remember, when you're pregnant, there's nothing wrong with the occasional use of cannabis to make you sleep and get rid of your aches and pains. But if you're ripping bongs in week 12, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. And I think if we can, for a moment, maybe we should all stop and take a moment. I think we've all got amazing women in our lives.
Yes.
Women who accept us for smoking, and that's cool, because I know guys who have to hide it still and things like that. So I think when you've got a good woman in your life, it matters. You think you could get by, and like you rate couples who smoke together stay together.
100%.
They have to. You have to be that way. There can't be any mono drug use. It just gets on the other person's nerves in the end. I'm old, believe me. I've watched it happen for a generation now. That you can't have some sort of mono drug use in a couple to get. It's very difficult in the end. It breaks one of them. It's funny how it works that way. It's like having two religions in the same house.
Well, it's because you're especially with smoking, it becomes a habitual use. Habitual ritual. Sorry, ritual. Perfect, because it becomes a ritual. It is, and it's something
habitual. It's habit. It's just a habit.
It's
just a habitual. It's not like this. It's a habit. Like we all got habits. Myrtle's habit gets up in the morning with 1 3/4 eyes open and the coffee machine button's already been pressed.
There we go.
That's the habit. It's just get some fucking coffee down your neck. That's all it is. It's just habitual.
Yeah, well, I guess. Yeah, it can be a bit like that. Like I wonder if it's the habit or the weed that makes it addictive.
What about that? It smells very lovely.
What dab are we dealing with here tonight, Jim?
There's amnesia haze. It's cleaned up very nicely. I don't know. It's there. There's my my double. What's it called? A tangerine purple slime.
That's right.
Double header from Cheech in Montreal. You can see the bang has been nicely used now. It's pretty hectic in there. I cleaned it specially for putting it on YouTube tonight, and it's kind of part of the furniture now. It's a really cool thing. One thing about it though is because it is a flowers bong, it's got this upright. Normally they do come off at 45 degrees for it, so you got to kind of get underneath it a little bit because it is a flowers rig. But you know what? In the end, I don't care.
We'll make do, right?
Make do. You know, you make the best of a bad job. I mean,
maybe we should do a Bongs and Things episode where we bring out the toys and we explain the
I had
intricacies
that in the Sayonara head, and it was terrific. It did. It's a breath of
you know what?
fresh
That
air.
has now been in the oven for nearly a month. And I'm just seeing how little butane you can have left, because yes, this butane's heavy, and if you think you've cleaned it, you haven't cleaned it. You can clean it and clean it and clean it, and you're still going to get some sort of crazy residual. It's very, very. We got to the stage where if you can get it to exactly the right temperature and on exactly a flat surface, you can probably get it to about 1.5 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just holding up its own viscosity, basically. And at that point, that is its maximum surface area. And still, you've got to get a vacuum on that, and you've got to be in the oven at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So
Weeks.
wow. And you know how heavy butane is? People leave it in if they're selling it because it weighs a ton. 300, you know, you can get 300. Somebody gave Fields of Green some oil ages ago, some wax ages ago, this year. And I cleaned it up, and there was fully 40 grams of butane still in it.
Jeez.
Because, you know, you pump all that shit that's getting pumped in it.
And what do you guys think about, like, butane? Do you think it's like, let's keep in mind that when you smoke a bong, you're inhaling spent butane very
totally,
often.
much more than any
That's a big
residual.
deal. Why you have things like hemp wicks for the purists and that. But do you think it's any more harmful than smoking a bong or smoking?
No, I think
you think butane's bad, or how bad?
But
how bad?
If you just smoke a dab that's got, like Jules is saying, zero, well, as close to zero, which is literally impossible to get with the equipment I think that we have.
Yeah, we're just
you're literally doing way less harm than lighting a cigarette with a butane lighter, inhaling direct butane off gas.
My glass pipe.
At a lower temperature, which means that there's more leftovers that you're pulling into your body. So I think
you know, these
all those snake oil dealers out there, comes back to snake oils. If you're not pulling out the solvent or the whatever you use to make it, you're doing a solid on people. It's not good.
Let's get to a very pertinent question, because there's a bit of a chat going on here. I see from Amanda. She says that, and Quentin will get to this as well, because I see a lot of folks are saying exit drug here. But just very quickly, why wait to talk about it? Amanda, you're asking, in terms of a medical context, like, are there strains people recommend for certain things, for using medicine, whether it's oil or weed? Do you think specific strains matter for specific conditions?
It definitely is.
I'm seeing that,
I don't think many people in South Africa have seen the full extent of it, because nobody's got lank weed in jars on shelves and stores. You know, we've got what we've got in Prohibition, a few strains here and there.
You take what you get.
The future is there. I'm sure ailments will become strain specific the more we know about terpenes and flavonoids. And
when we're allowed to start using
when we can research that shit.
Just start bloody well using it.
Well, you know, we talk about licenses. If that is a way of expediting the research, give anybody a license.
And let it
Go
happen.
and have your licenses, guys.
Let it happen.
Bring it on, and then we can start researching this shit. Because there's a South African strain in a mountain in the Pondo land that's going to cure a shitload. We don't have to look far. I bet you there's a landrace plant that's going to do it all for us.
Landrace.
Watch. Mark my words, Sonny.
There was something that I heard about the use of mushrooms, and what they've done is certain mushrooms that are grown at high altitude have a certain genetic build.
Yes.
And by ingesting these mushrooms, they allow your body to heal at what high altitude sicknesses and that do, because this mushroom has been designed to be in that environment. It's sort of, I'm not trying to, I don't know the whole exact article, but it allows the body to heal itself a lot easier. It assists your body with those kind of problems associated with that kind of illness, because it is developed in that area. So, like you're saying, with a strain somewhere in Africa, or in South Africa, or in Africa anyway, there's going to be variances of strains that can help different ailments.
Yeah. There's a reason humans have been doing it for thousands of years. It's undocumented history. They know that it was good for a women's lunar time, and they know that it's good for arthritis. They've known for thousands of years. They just didn't explain it that way.
It's been there for how long? Before we were here. It was on its own, and it's evolved on its own, and it's got through on its own, and it's never...
The book we put into the court for everyone to read in the annexure. Marijuana, the first 12,000 years.
But if I can also, just to put a spin on this, I feel like this would be a much easier question to answer if we were in the US. Because then we can point and say and go there. But within SA, and I'm going to be frank, it's very difficult, because people will tell you what you want to hear. It's like the Charlotte Web effect that I keep speaking about. There's a strain Charlotte Web. It's a big deal medicinally in the US, and everyone claims they've got it. It's people will tell you what you want to hear. So if we could say, yes, we know this oak is legit, we know this is what he's growing, we hear good things, cool. But you don't. You know, we can say, yes, this strain, and this strain, but acquiring that is another issue.
That's right. Well, that goes down to growing it yourself and figuring out what's good for you, or your mother, or whoever else you're growing it for, and for what you're doing it
and then that comes down to terpene profiles and ratios of THC, CBD. essentially, because that's what you're looking for.
You're
looking for something to help you to do whatever you need to do, but it's not going to be in a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 1 or a 3 to 4. You've got to find that ratio, and maybe you have to go and look online and say, okay, what's happening in America, like we're saying? Oh, someone's using this kind of ratio. Try that. But unfortunately here it's so hard to get that at the moment. We can't get ratios. It doesn't...
And you know, I think as well that the average smoker in South Africa just looked at you and went, snob. Because, you know...
Nah, there's much more bud porn folk out there than this lot here.
No, you know, I know that there's a lot of, you know, sometimes a lot of guys say, oh, we've got a lot of choice with strains or whatever, and they really, really don't, but, you know, because it's the same 5 growers in the area, and that's it, you know.
But nobody really knows what they're growing.
No, but
whatever was on the pack, you know. I go back to this time and again. There's so many different names, but so few combinations.
Let's take it on someone's word. And the smell, you know, we've covered that as well. People go into a dispensary in America and they don't know what they had, but they recognise the smell of the lemon or the pepper bit. You see, so they know that lemony one was the good one for them at that point. So that's what they need, and it's as simple as that. And most of that is the placebo effect anyway. Oh, the lemon one was cool, but it accentuated a cool frame of mind, because that's all we're doing here. It's just accentuating what's going on at the time. I think if you're really, really depressed and shit, it doesn't matter what the terpene profile is. You're probably gonna sink further on a fucking bong at the best. Really, it's not gonna help, is it? Oh, I'm so fucking depressed. Hand me that bong. Oh, my big toe sore. So, if you are, you know, if you're naturally kind of anxious folk, then a big bong of weed's gonna make you fucking anxious. It really is. It's gonna bring you out to yourself.
Yeah, especially premature weed. Premature weed. Honestly, premature weed. Underdeveloped trichromes bring out a very high level of anxiety.
Really? Get out of here! I didn't know.
No.
Is that in the?
I've read it somewhere, and yes, I think I've even experienced it myself, because I suffer from anxiety and I smoke for anxiety, and it helps it. And I found that if I smoked weed that was, say, premature, and you can smell it. You know, like that greener weed that's
totally early. It's stuff
I feel like the world is coming down on me, and I'm like, Jesus. Otherwise, when I usually smoke, I'm fine. I feel a lot better.
Well. So you've narrowed it down personally to that.
Well, for me, personally, I find that premature cut weed does that to me. Yes.
All right. So now, you know, when you plant on the Highveld, Joburg area, early September-ish, hoping you're going to get an early crop, sort of December or so. It's a mug's game, but you can get something that flowers off, and it's green. That would be the stuff with white trikes, and they haven't browned off or anything. That's what the browned off trikes is. Smooth sailing, yeah.
Well, yeah, trikes exactly. Right. Trichomes, not the red hairs, exactly. The white, as well as clear, milky amber. When it's clear, it's too much of a head racy, insane that you lose your...
We're going to have to do, remember that William Smith shit when you were in high school and he joined the projector on TV?
Yeah.
We have to do that and draw trichome and cannabis in.
Yes. with the mountains in the background. Yeah. Now we've got bongs in the background.
Yeah. And what is X?
And if we come to the right.
So just be careful out there, guys. That's all I can say. Find what works for you. What we're getting a lot of chat here about, and Quinton, I think you'll have some valuable insight, is a lot of people are saying that for them cannabis is an exit drug. So they've been on heroin, meth, the likes, and it's sort of given them an option other than those.
Well, this is like what I've been saying for years.
Yeah, I've been saying it for years. He's been saying it for years.
Literally for years.
Like a fucking Jovi or a vegan.
Yes! He's running up to people going...
He's like the vegan of drug policy.
Yes! Okay. But no, I really haven't... Man...
I've seen it time and time again all my life. The exit drug's always been how it is for me. Just people,
but it's true, and the thing is that I've seen it as a therapist as well. The guys that have started out, and I've suggested, you know, you can't tell them what to do. I've suggested from personal experience that it may be maybe try a joint,
But most people who trashed on meth at that point did try a joint. They know what they're on with here. They tried everything under the sun. You're not teaching them anything.
No, but there are some that are like, you know,
So what is it though? If somebody who knows what happens on weed, why would they refuse to take weed to calm them down, get a night's sleep and some hot food with the munchies?
Because they have that much pain. You have to understand the drug that they're taking has taken them to a very, very different place. So the experience of weed is nothing that
it's not play
anybody else. No,
it's not play to the damaged. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's quite a long term thing. You know, you're in it for a while.
Yeah. And the thing is, but the guys that sort of have the stick-to-itiveness, for lack of a better word, and actually stay on it, a lot of them sort of will take like cannabis capsules or whatever once a day or twice a day or whatever, you know. And as soon as they get on that, all of a sudden they realize that okay, they can operate.
Yeah. And you know, it's a lack of thing. If you're like a former tuck kid, you've probably got a tuck pipe, and I'm pretty sure you could do a dab in a tuck pipe, mate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, completely.
You must have like bulk dab.
Dab lolly.
Yeah,
dablollies.com.
Yes.
For sleep till Christmas. Grow your fingernail long to do the dance. Oh, that was in bad taste. But yeah, I hear a lot about this. Like you hear about magic mushrooms for people who need to deal with post-traumatic stress and who are approaching death and things like that. But I do hear a lot about it, and I can't imagine it works for everyone. No. But, you know, I hear people replace addictions with addictions, and let's face it, if you're going to have an addiction, weed seems to be of the benign bunch. It seems to be lacking in the shallow end with how water wings with weed.
Totally. You know, if you're in a rehab and you're doing the right weed, which isn't like Psycho Killer, it's actually quite balanced. It's just something to do to get your mind off the fact that you haven't got any meth.
No.
Because it's a psychosomatic thing.
But that being said, the success that we have seen is the guys in those situations, we introduce them to something like dabs, which comes in hard very quickly. It's there almost immediately, which is what they would get with meth.
There's another point.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So what it does is it starts triggering different senses in the brain, literally. So we go from
it's a consciousness altering
from the dopamine to the serotonin.
That's all the good stuff.
There we go.
So what? If you're dealing with withdrawal, fat bong hits. No,
there we go.
High
grade dab. No,
high levels
I'm
of
not. And you're not joking. No,
I wouldn't know.
Look at bong. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't. You know, I suppose. But I would rather. I would suggest a dab. Really, a dab is. Yes, that's a great delivery system.
It's like because that's what they require. They want a pleasure dump. They want like
that's such an awesome word.
Pleasure dump.
Pleasure dump. That's it. It just
take a fat pleasure shit on your face, dude.
Right there. That's what it's supposed to do. And you know, and it's not this like 4-hour journey of love and ecstasy. It's like this. And then it's also then it's done.
The other form of exit is not actually abstaining and getting off stuff. Some people are using it in their daily life to actually modulate the pills that they're using for their conditions. Yes. So it's not basic. It's not to go cold. It's not as a cold turkey thing or to get off something. It's to control what you're on. And we keep going back to we've got 3 people that we write to in the last 5 years that suffer from. They call it non-schizophrenia. It's what society calls it. They're unhinged. They've got a screw loose somewhere. And
so what does it mean, non-schizophrenia? Like
they don't call themselves. They don't. It's a bad rap being called a schizophrenic. Okay. It's a loaded word of being mental. You're not mental. You're wired wrong, and it can happen at any moment. You get off on something else. So these guys get completely clipped on their medication, and most of them, I think, they all live at home. One's in nearly 40. He's got elderly parents now, but he can't go out because it could happen and he's fucked up. But when he's on the pills, he's just munged out. He can't even do anything. He can't even get to a computer and give a shit, basically. It's like not give a shit pills. Yeah. So he has to get back to being a WAV file from an MP3, and he uses weed to do it. But he has to do it behind his elderly parents because they want him on the meds because it's controllable. Sure. So there's the other exit. People are using it to control their impulses. Or I've seen so many people in my life want that double whiskey, but they've got to stop that shit, so they just smoke a fucking joint because they don't want to smoke another ciggy because they're on those as well. And then back to Drubeck. Fuck, what am I going to drink? I'm an ex-alcoholic with Drubeck. Fuck,
drink banana syrup.
Water.
With a grandpa.
Sure. I think it's all very complex in that, but it is interesting to see that, you know, It's really been a companion plant to.
It's a companion to loads of people feeling the anxiousness of getting off what they're on.
I think we're
day 3 of cleaning yourself out.
I think we are rediscovering the plant now, because it was. I think the further back we go, you'll probably find a bigger role that it had in our society for whatever use that it had at the stage, besides smoking. But as we filtered up through history, I think only now we're seeing how profound this plant is. How it can help in so many different ways. Where they had in the Dark Ages, the chemist, been prescribed the herb to drinketh because he was seeing demons or something, and it would stop him seeing demons.
Quite right. Quite right. It stops me on the way home from the trial of the plant. It stopped me from seeing Doctors for Life. The minute I got in the car and hit something, fuck, they all melted. And thank God.
I was driving behind
Ninja Bomb.
I'm driving behind Jules, and I just check this. I'm like, yo, Jess is like, have you lit it yet? I'm like, okay.
Well, I can touch on a point there. To paraphrase one of the best monologues I've ever seen. We did this thing a while ago, and the footage is never emerged, but it's so good. Hopefully one day it does. But to paraphrase what this guy said, he said what he loves most about Mary Jane is he doesn't give a fuck what other people think. Plain Jane, he made that very clear. But what he did say is that it's the one thing that stops him from loading an AK and waking up the next morning and going into the office and offing everyone.
Yes. Wow.
He's just like, it's fucking high pressure. I'm working 9 to 9. Can I take the edge off? Mental illness or not?
A lot of people use weed in that way to drive. They really do. I think some people got a vape pen with them and they see a robot down there and it's cooking and it's like mayhem and it's full of people trying to get to an appointment.
Oh, I smell it all the time in traffic, man.
It's the best traffic release ever.
It's completely legal. And what about the kids? And what about everything else? And it's going to tell you everything.
There's a pumpkin in your car.
Here is the thing. I see a lot of people vaping and you can smell it, right? And you can check the oxyprod. I mean, they're like, and you're like,
if your eyes are this thin, you're too high to drive.
And I'm like, oh, really?
It's a true story.
Yeah. And these guys are just like, so, but the thing is, it's a different type of vape, okay? And a different type of vape, so it's really strong. And you can smell it.
But it's a good job as a different kind of vape because it's impossible for forensics to know anything about what we're smoking anymore. Yeah. Because there's a guy from the Vaporium dude there that's got one of these. It's got cherry and banana flavour with some sort of glycol what and whoa, forensics, fucking hell. Whoa. And we've got nothing but cannabinoids and terpenes, which is another thing altogether. And whoa, forensics, fuck, 18 months.
So I might note that should you actually drop some terpenes into the vape juice,
totally,
it really does give it a little bit of an extra.
Nice,
dude. It's that's what these vape bars are for. They sit there and they just go, and I'll have that in it, and I'll have a drop of that and a bit of this, and putting my name on the bottle.
If I can for a moment, for those retro motherfuckers out there, pop culture yards, for those who've seen A Clockwork Orange, there's the milk bar, and that's what it is. That's what exactly it is now, and we're seeing that infusion now because let's face it, if you wanted to, you could probably put tuck in that thing and smoke it with caramel flavored juice and whatever. We're seeing this infusion of designer to the max. It was always alcohol, it was always tobacco, it was always weed, but we're seeing an absolute infusion now.
And here's the whole thing. It is so that specific industry. There's really not that much regulation. Okay, strangely enough, there's very little regulation besides the tobacco side.
And using it as a tobacco product where you can and can't use it.
Yeah.
But
and yet there's still nicotine that you sell in a bottle to add to
yes,
and the flavors.
But
what are they charging for? You have to regulating the top.
Who's to say that's not a not a detonator in your hand luggage?
Really?
Big time.
Yes.
But I think maybe also we may be that last generation of analog stoners, if I can refer to it as that, because it's getting digital now, motherfuckers. It's
Yeah.
2024/7 with our vapes and cloud chasing and all that.
That's the great piece of stealth. It turns me on just that I can do it under people's noses, and they don't know, and I do, and they think that I should be some sort of criminal element, hooligan, studs and chains and ink and shit, and I'm not. I'm just driving to town, but I'm goofed because Jesus, that traffic's just terrible. You might as well have a vape and just go. Stick something on, a podcast, some shit, and just watch people go by, because lucky for me, I don't ever have like this set, hard and fast a presentation of my life. You know, it's like some rep who's going to get the deal of the deals, and he's stuck in traffic, and he's going through the lines and everything. It never happens with me. I'm going downtown to go and recce something, but it's all good, I'll get there. And it's never like, fuck, I've got to get through this. Yeah. But I watch human nature going by on a vape pen now, and it used to be different. You used to have a roach in your ashtray, and you were open to all sorts of stories then, because it stinks. Yeah. But this does not.
Maybe the trick is not to stop and smell the roses, but to stop and smoke the roses.
Ah, there you have it.
Smoke the roses.
Yeah.
The rose
petal joints. Infused with blue cheese turbs.
Literally rose petal joints. They take rose petals and they're rolling joints with it now.
I have seen that shit.
Rose
I don't know what to think of that. I don't know.
How do they keep them fresh to roll them?
No, fresh.
You put
fresh
and licking them.
You lick it.
Now, I wonder what someone
pressed it. Hold this a minute. I'm just going to press it at the side of it.
That must make. I don't know. I'm sure it's all very good. Maybe we must start the Weed Busters channel eventually. We try these things, like try the hacks, try to roll the joint.
I was thinking to myself, there was this picture on Twitter of these two yoga fundies yogarizing at the sunset, and how cannabis can help in your yoga retreat practices. And the first thing I thought of was, when was the last time you lot thought about all the people in jail and the guys getting busted right now? I didn't click on it, but this whole cannabis and getting skinny in a bikini at sunset with yoga and cannabis, it's not. Jesus, there's so much prohibition going on. It's fucking out of control. And all those dudes that are making all of those gizmos, they forget that now. They're forgetting it at the moment. There's this I come from a non-profit company. It's really weird. We're not commercializing anything, but now we're getting loads of stuff for the show, and people are trying to get they're ready and they're waiting. They've got vape pens and they've got bongs and they've got this, that, and the other. But I hope they keep remembering about the busts, because I did 2 today, and they never go away, and it's depressing as fuck.
But I think it's also I don't want to. It may make activism a bit tougher, because people are perhaps getting a bit more passive, with the argument being won in a way. It feels like in the courts of public opinion, and we're going through that transition from being a counterculture to a mainstream culture now.
Over the counter culture.
Yeah, so like we're hitting 30 and going through that transition, guys. Yeah. 4K and all that. But it's like, it really is. It's changing. It's becoming white collar and blue collar, and it is.
And there's still busts derived from Facebook posts. It's still happening. It's everyone's. Hey, they're all pioneers. You want to have a product and go out and start selling the product and putting it online. Right. You can't believe what I saw in the inbox this morning. Some guy has got this picture, and his bedroom has got like 10 kilos in it, more, 20 kilos in it, fucking plastic bags and bins and buckets. It says, I don't know who to turn to, and I thought maybe you knew somebody you could get rid of this, because I grew so much I don't know what to do with it, and there's like more coming. So what?
Because what do you do? It's easy to grow. It's another thing to
where's the market, dude? That's the whole thing of going back to the licenses again. There's nothing about a market. Why are you growing loads of weed? I hope it's for terpene research. It can't be for a market, because it's fucking illegal.
Yeah, the times are changing. But you were mentioning earlier as well that there was a not guilty verdict in the Randburg court.
Yeah, Sure. Yeah, Grant is he's a cameraman that helps us on the trial of the plant for free. He took some petrol money, but he just wanted to be there, and he did loads of behind the scenes interviews of funny shit that will come out in the mix one day. And he got bust growing weed to give to his mother for her cancer. And he came to join the queue, and then he said, hang on a minute, stay a prosecution. I don't want to stay any prosecution. I want to get off this because I'm helping my mother. And he was adamant. So we kind of put him in the system of the joint accused lawyers and the advocates and stuff, and he navigated himself to Randburg and stood up for himself and stayed true to his word. And he showed a video of him treating his mother for her cancer.
Yeah.
And the judge didn't throw the docket out, and the judge didn't fucking put it on the bottom of the pile. The judge stamped it not guilty.
Wow.
He is not guilty of making his own cannabis medicine to give to his mother. So that is absolutely massive.
Sure.
And we'll get the transcript. We'll get we invited him here today, but he's drained. Yeah. It fucking takes it out of you doing this shit like this. It really is hectic in there. It's desperate in there. Courtrooms, there's a lot at stake. Your livelihood's at stake. Your fucking name, your reputation, your job, everything. Everything on the whim of the guy that's obviously 3 meters above you, fucking looking like this. And he's stuck to it. He knows, he's eloquent. He knew that he was speaking his truth. And if you're speaking your truth, you're fucking invincible. So we'll get to the bottom of it. We'll get him here. But at the moment, we've got lawyers sifting through to see what kind of precedent this is. Because if he is and somebody else is, before the law, you have to have the same everywhere. Yeah. So if there's an oil maker in Neisner going down in George tonight with those fucking Rottweilers, then that judgment is whoa.
Yeah, well, this is kind of breaking. I'm not too sure what's going on.
Yeah, you would have
I
to
see
find
that
out what
there's
court
something
it is
trending about a bust in Neisner.
Yeah, Myrtle's on it now. I've just saw Myrtle's on the thing now. There is a family been busted in Neisner now, and I'm not quite sure. I heard it as I was leaving to come to the Hotbox.
I'm sure there's some community policing forum has already posted their pictures fucking everywhere, unless they're white.
Yeah, look, any Neisner folk, if you can tap into the live chat here, if you're down in the wilderness, tell us what's happening. There is a bust going on somewhere in wilderness, and it's friends of friends, so it's even more personal. So we do jump. There are a few people know our personal numbers, and if we get a call like that, then we kind of jump, because it's normally someone who's already been busted and knows exactly what it's like.
Yeah,
they're not going away. They really aren't. But the judges, there's something about it. When you get to court, we're all very positive now that get through the bail, get through the other side, get out that fucking police station, because anything can happen with those psychos.
Yeah.
And then get a rest, get a bath, get a cup of tea, and we'll figure it out in a month's time on your first appearance. And we think that magistrates are becoming more and more conducive to X amount in your backyard. It's starting, I'm sure it is. But the cops, hey, my Christmas bonus!
Oh, dude, it is that time of the year. So, guys, please be safe on the road.
Yeah.
Smoking and driving, drinking and driving, booking it.
Have you still got those? Have you got that stuff? The stash box stuff. Have you still got stash boxes for sale?
I'm sure.
No, is the shop got stash boxes?
We've got all kinds of stuff for sale. All kinds of things for sale.
All right, because I swear by those things. Coke cans and shit, those stash can things, anything like that.
Well, let's do a Christmas gift episode, and let's talk. Let's make a real effort. I think next week let's do a show and tell. Let's bring out the nice toys. Ooh. Let's get technical with motherfuckers about percolators, bangers, good stash things.
You mean do a bong issue?
Yeah, make it
Pick me.
Yeah,
Pick me.
And let's talk glass.
Talking about that, can I have that smidgen of oil?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool, dude. Are you gonna smoke us out here, guys?
Are we finished?
Yeah, no. That's it. That's all. That's British.
Damn. Yay.
That's 13 done.
Yeah, 13 done.
Broke the puberty.
Like
oh no, dude, and it was a bit awkward.
Sorry about the glitch in the beginning. It's all my fault. I'll take full responsibility for not switching the mic on properly.
Blame it on the dabs.
Blame it on the dabs. And we'll see you for the 14th episode. And thanks for all of these stalwarts here on the live chat for being there and keeping this going, because we can't do it without likes. We can't do it without views.
Shares.
And we're doing it with what we're doing it. And if you could see this whole picture of looking this way at the equipment, you'd laugh. We're doing this absolutely on the bones of our arse, guys, and thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, share, subscribe.
Hashtag.
Stay lit
Hotbox
podcast. And then you can talk amongst yourselves for the next 15 minutes.